I don't want to be maid of honor for my best friend anymore. I, 23F, am maid of honor for my best friend, 23F. We have been friends for 9 years. It was my birthday a few weeks ago. The birthday was very chill and I invited her, my father, who she knows I rarely get to see, and some other friends. We established we would eat at home first to save money, and only go out for a few drinks. No shots, no partying was established. My best friend's fiancé had to work and would be meeting us downtown afterwards. This part is important to remember. We get to our destination, and she immediately starts ordering food. We already said we were eating at home. I think okay fine, she can eat then. Then, she orders 2 rounds of shots when I'm in the bathroom, knowing I wouldn't want them if I were at the table. We take the shots and tell her, no more, I have to use the bathroom again. While I'm gone she asks for the tab and tells my dad to pay for it, in front of everyone, so he did. $200 tab. I found out once I got back. I'm pissed but try to let it go until the next day. We get to the next spot. I notice she took her ring off. She said it was sliding around and didn't want to lose it. She goes to the bar and takes 3 shots in a row, and falls over on the table behind us. So embarrassing, people are staring. My dad's furious, he leaves. Now I am upset because all I wanted was to spend time with my dad. I turn my back, she is hanging on all of these guys. She sits on a guy's lap and starts flirting. She's getting married soon. I try to be a friend, pull her away and tell the guy I'm sorry, she's engaged, nice to meet you, but we are walking away now. She refuses. Her fiancé walks and I see him, and he asks, where is she at? I point and tell him I tried and she refused. He goes over there, she told him to get away, so he asks me to go back. I go back and she screamed, leave me alone. I hate you, I fucking hate you. I still kept my cool and said, I'm trying to save your marriage, you're really making a poor choice. She proceeded to scream and cause a scene, leaving me bawling my eyes out, after he cussed me out in front of the entire bar, and all my other friends. She called and half-assed apologized by saying, sorry if her night was ruined, and blamed the alcohol on her choices. I don't want to be her maid of honor anymore and feel I can't bless her marriage based on her choices. What should I do here? Back out? I'll be honest, she sounds like a train wreck. I wouldn't be comfortable participating either. Does her guy even want to marry her still? She's a mess. It will be a hard conversation, mostly since she seems like the kind of nutjob who will start screaming at you. But yeah, tell her you're not coming to the wedding. Just because you've known her a long time doesn't mean you have to keep putting up with her BS. Cutting out toxic people from your life can be so great, do it. I don't blame you if you don't want to be her maid of honor. Wouldn't blame you either if you didn't want to be friends with her anymore. Het behavior was gross and way out offline. Based on the story you told here, you are 100% justified in backing out if being the maid of honor. She's was completely out of line. Screaming, I fucking hate you, for trying to stop her from cheating is friendship-ending behavior. Don't accept the alcohol as an excuse. If she knows she gets like that when she drinks, she shouldn't be ordering shots, which she wasn't supposed to so in the first place. If my friend pressured my parents to pay for her drinks, I wouldn't even stop at being Mo. I'd drop her as a friend and not be shy to tell her why. I'd back out being her maid of honor and her friend. She humiliated you and took advantage of your father. To me that's in no way, shape or form, a friend. Sorry if her night was ruined, that's not an apology. She doesn't think she did anything wrong and is unwilling to take any responsibility for the distress she caused you. That is not how you should expect to be treated by someone who cares about you. And someone who cares about you would have worked a lot harder to redeem themselves. I wouldn't choose to be in the wedding anymore either. You need new friends. My husband, M26, is being accused of SAW by his ex-girlfriend, F26. I, F24, recently discovered that my husband's ex-girlfriend has been accusing my husband of sexual assault, abuse and emotional abuse, and I'm absolutely shocked and don't know what to do or believe. My husband is my absolute best friend. He is the most kind and caring partner I could ask for. He always asks me for consent before trying to make a move. He has never made me feel uncomfortable or made me question anything. We have great communication between one another and I honestly couldn't be more happier with our marriage. As someone who has been SAW and is currently going through a legal case, seriously, my trial is in February. Send me good vibes. I've always been so passionate about this topic and making sure women are believed. I asked him about it last night and showed him, and he was in shock and was genuinely concerned. He wasn't angry or anything, just confused as to why she would make allegations like that. My question is, do I reach out to her to get her side of the story? My husband has never done anything to make me question his character, but these are really serious allegations that I'm not okay with, and if they are true, it's not going to end well. Some background info. They have been broken up for over 3 years and she is still posting about him on social media. This is where I discovered her allegations. Thank you in advance for the advice. Edit. Hello everyone. Wow, I didn't expect to get so many responses. I appreciate all the advice and kind words people have shared. I discussed the situation with a mutual friend and they advised me that it is not a good idea in trying to approach her because she can be very dramatic and manipulative, and I think she will just try to twist things. This friend was close with both of them throughout their relationship, so I'm going to trust their advice. Many of you shared your stories with me, so thank you for opening up. I will still be cautious, but I will stand by my husband's side unless proven otherwise. Thank y'all again. Happy New Year if you celebrate, and stay safe. Are you both 100% sure she is specifically talking about your husband, and not someone who came after? If you're not involved in her life, maybe something bad happened after they split up? If it's clear she is talking about him, may I ask how long it was between the time they broke up, you two met, engaged, and married? Don't contact her. Actions speak louder than words, and if you haven't noticed any concerning behavior from your husband, then leave this be. I'm also a victim of rape, so I understand where you stand. But unfortunately there also are women who make false accusations to take revenge and stuff like that. I wouldn't encourage communication with his ex. She wants you to do that. You have no reason to believe her accusations. He is sweet and respectable to you. Why ruin it? That's your issue right there. Making sure women are believed. No, that is not how you do it. It's making sure women are taken seriously. Once you automatically believe it, you have decided the person is outright guilty and claiming that women are beyond lying, which has been proven they do time and time again. Firstly, I wish you all the best in your own case. You deserve good things in life. This is tricky because I guess it comes down to his word against hers, and what you see of his character is tinted by how you know him, and what you know of her is second hand. What I would say is, from personal experience, I went through SAW with my ex when I was with him. He is in a new relationship now and apparently they're happy. He is loving and completely different. Abusers don't abuse everyone in their life, or they'd never get away with any of it. All you know is who your significant other is as a person. What do you really believe would have been the case? If there is doubt in his innocence, then that's your answer, I suppose. I once had a girl try to claim my partner sexually assaulted her. I knew my partner never would. Nobody else knew my partner was a victim of SAW himself. Turns out this girl had tried to accuse 2 other guys of the same thing, and she was just upset my partner rejected her. All I'm saying is, sometimes people lie about things like this, and it is awful for legitimate victims. Regarding your husband, it takes 2 for a relationship to be healthy and good. My dad was accused of SAW by a fellow employee when I was a kid. Was almost fired, and God knows what my mom thought. Turns out the girl accused several other employees with no evidence and had a reputation for lying to benefit herself at work. My advice is to believe in who you know over what others say. I would honestly leave it alone. If she has a means of showing that it's legitimate, she will. You two are already married. Not just dating. Married. He's a good guy to you, and bitter people can and do make things up. If she wants to take it to the police, then let her and go from there. Otherwise I would just let her continue ranting. I am a woman, in case anyone thinks I'm just a dude blaming the ex. You even mentioned people don't think she's a very good person. Why would you want to trust her over your friends and husband? My wife left me after 7 years. My wife left after I came back from a week-long trip. She talked to me and said that she doesn't love me anymore and she is going to move in with a friend. I've been struggling with depression for over a year now, and I was too emotionally distant to her. I tried to talk to her and see if there was anything we could do to try to fix it. She said that she has already detached herself from me and that there's nothing to fix. We just had our first child and he is 4 months old. I am just lost and don't know what to do. There's nothing to do but get therapy for yourself and work out how you're going to co-parent. The only thing you can do is respect her wishes, try to stay civil for the kid, and move on. Assuming this happened within the last few days, you left her alone with an infant for a week and missed your son's first Christmas. Likely was the last straw. How can you make up to her your absence in her first pregnancy and leaving her alone with your infant? Physical and emotional absence. You can try to show her you are changing and seeing a depression doc. But what if after a year of therapy and meds you decide you were depressed because you do not want to be a husband and father? She left based on your actions. You have to do more than talk. And do what you would want your kid to do. A week-long trip, during the holidays, without your wife and son. Emotionally detached sounds about right. Good luck. Sounds like your wife is leaving you for valid reasons. All you can do is respect her and work on yourself. If you don't heal what hurt you, you'll bleed on those who never cut you. Go to therapy and focus on coping skills. Show your wife you are getting help to help not only your relationship with her but for you. Yikes, depression is tough and takes a lot away from you. Not sure if it was just the emotional distance that pushed her away, but if she went through the pregnancy alone and the past 4 months of parenthood alone, she may have felt she could do it alone. It's not your fault you have depression, but in a marriage these things need to get dealt with. Her leaving is a wake-up call, so get help. Sometimes things don't work out either, even if no one is really at fault here. I left my STBXH over his depression he wouldn't get help for. So you've been emotionally distant and left her for a week with a brand new infant baby to care for alone? Have you tried to do anything about your depression aside from talking to your wife? She's got a 4-month-old child, she's probably fed up. Need to see a therapist or a psychiatrist whether she wants you back or not, because you have a kid who doesn't need to put up with that s. Sister lied and I lost my family, mother in denial. Sorry for the length, too long, did not read. At the bottom. Me. 34M, my wife 36F, we live in the US, wife is American. I am French. This all started in summer 2020, we went to France to visit my family that I rarely see since I'm living on the other side of the world. It was the first time since the world events that we saw them. We were excited and we were looking to enjoy family time together. We were all living in the same summer house, having lunch together, doing activities together, etc. My family is composed of my mother, 68F, my sister, 42F, my stepfather, 69M, my brother-in-law, 44M, and my nieces, 12F and 7F. My father is doing his thing on his side and I have a good relationship with him. We visited him with my wife, my sister, my brother-in-law and my nieces. We spent the day with him at the beach. My wife and I had a fight and we ended up going back home to my mother and stepfather's house and yelled at each other in our bedroom with my sister and my brother-in-law in the house, and at one point they tried to intervene in our argument. We had just been married for a few months at that point and still finding our footing. After that, my wife and I talked a lot, got a therapist, and we moved on and grew from this episode. We have a really strong relationship now and feel very connected. But we didn't know that it was the first piece of a sad and irrational situation. The next day, the whole family is about to have lunch together and my stepfather made a harsh remark about me picking up and eating a piece of sushi before he sat. No one was around the table. For context, he was not warm to me when he got together with my mother initially, and when they got married when I was 13 I was left to fend for myself, living with my father who was dealing with his own stuff and who left me alone for days, sometimes weeks. My stepfather and I had made some sort of a peace in the intervening years and we had a very good relationship for the past 4 years before the incident, but he has the emotional intelligence of a 5-year-old. Back to the lunch. I told him that there is no difference as he does it often, he actually picking straight into the plate with his fork. Following this answer from me, he left the house enraged and feeling disrespected. He came back and to make peace I told him that I had no intention to disrespect him, that I just pointed respectfully that he does it too. He fakely accepted my apology. The vacation came to an end and we went back to the US. In October, I was on the phone with my mother and we were talking about the summer fight I had with my wife, and she told me, "Your sister told me that you threatened to death your wife." I didn't understand at first, so I asked her, "What are you talking about?" My mother pursues and tells me that my sister and brother-in-law heard me saying, "I'll kill you," to my wife. I never said this. My wife agrees that I never said this. I was surprised and shocked to learn that it was my sister's storytelling of the past couple months that consumed my family's minds. For context here, my sister has had a severe eating disorder for the past 10+ years. And nobody says anything to her, everyone is in denial. It's important because she also lies and exaggerates often, sometimes about her own daughters. It's known in the family. I know that I would never threaten my wife's life, even within a fight. I never said it or said anything close to that. My wife never heard anything like this at all. She would remember if I threatened her to death, so we were extremely surprised to hear this story from my mother. I called my sister and she insisted saying that she heard it. After a few calls I decided to stop talking to her. I admit I blew up at her, she attacked my character, lied, and then doubled down. In the meantime, my mother did not want to believe me over my sister, and after 2 months she finally tells me that she believes me, then after a few weeks tells me again that I said it and that she does not believe me. In the meantime, my mother and stepfather got COVID in November 2020. I tried to call and text my stepfather to see how he is feeling. He did not answer. I don't understand what is going on, so I asked him if there is anything. I received a very harsh message telling me that I am disrespectful and entitled and that the tension I had with him, my stepfather, this summer was intolerable and that I never apologized according to him. I did apologize to him during the summer when we were there and thought we moved on from that, but it was not his feeling. My mother told me at this time that getting COVID made him enraged about everything. We exchanged emails and did not really talk for a few months. I was shocked and disappointed but ready to not hold any apparent grudge. Months passed and nothing changed. I tried to discuss the other situation with my sister, but my mother is telling me that my sister after getting COVID got a zona, shingles, which is a skin condition that can be very painful and she cannot be stressed because it will make it worse. So I am in a situation where my sister is lying and I cannot discuss it with her to fix it. Neither call her lies in front of my mother because she is refusing that we all talk together. I was blamed for her zona by my family. As I said above, my sister has been sick for more than 10 years now. She is only eating salad with a mixture of lemon and vinegar. She has a disease that can be treated with a surgery but she is refusing and she is a total denial of her body. She transmitted this food anxiety to her kids and having lunch with her as an experience. It became kind of a taboo in our family because we tried multiple times to make her act on it but she always find a way to escape it. In addition, her husband is not telling her anything about it. Like it does not exist, so it's difficult without his help. She and her husband are always arranging the truth and never really facing the consequences of their actions. For example, my mother and stepfather invested money in their company. They burned it all and the company is not existing anymore. They never gave the accounts to the accountant of my mother and stepfather after multiple demands and 4 years. And to not bankrupt the dead company they put my father as an acting manager so they are not carrying administratively the weight of their mistakes. Back to the story, we are in February 2021 and I have no options except waiting to discuss and clear this situation. I love my family and used to feel close to them. I am talking again with my stepfather but superficially. I know he likes to be treated like the boss, so I am thinking that it might be a good opportunity to make him the mediator between my sister and I. That was a mistake. We did a Zoom in March. He listened to my words and told me that he would come back to me once he talked to my sister and brother-in-law. It didn't happen before June because my sister was sick. Months are passing and I am talking with my mother about coming to visit them in Paris for her birthday and spend some time with her. We are booking our tickets at the end of May for a departure at the beginning of July. I wrote my stepfather a very deferential handwritten letter enough time before the trip, telling him I respect him etc. and that I want a positive trip etc. He wrote me back an email filled with vitriol. A few days before we leave for Paris, my stepfather finally talked to my sister and brother-in-law. He comes back to me with his conclusions. He doesn't believe me and told me that they told him that my wife and I yelled more horrible words like this during our fight. I am the protagonist of this and my family does not want to believe me and my wife. It's a crazy situation. I told them multiple times, please believe us, I am asking you. I must mention that nobody asked my wife. I thought they might think I was aggressive with her or something, but if that was the case wouldn't they reach out to her to make sure she was okay? I am not aggressive with her, we simply had a fight. You're all going to wonder if my family maybe doesn't like my wife? I think they do. My wife is very polite with them, is proficient if not fluent in French, helps to cook when we are there, is friendly with them etc. My mom and sister texted with her in general before all of this. The ring I proposed to my wife with was given to me by my mother, which belonged to my grandmother who passed 2 years before, to welcome her into the family. The crazy part is that they prefer to believe my sister, who has been a known liar and in denial, who didn't mind her business, who is not totally bilingual. We were fighting in English, and not constantly at a good distance to hear our fight. I lost my relationship with my sister definitely. It feels like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We were very close and then she betrayed me by acting like this, and talking shit about me and my wife. My stepfather then told me I better apologize to her. For what? And that he will not tolerate tensions when we will be here. I told him that I will certainly not apologize to her because there is no reason and that she should apologize to me and stop this madness, but that I will be cordial when we will see each other. My mother was also insisting that I apologize to my sister. At this point, we are hesitating to go to Paris and are disgusted by the situation, unfairly treated, but we still decide to go to Paris. When we arrive, we see my mother quickly so she can give me the keys of my friend's place, but the vibe is already off and my mother is already asking me to make peace with my sister. I am one more time disgusted and feel treated like shit, not heard. She does not appreciate my negative answer to her request and decides to leave for now. Later, she sent me a text message to ask us to come to watch the Euro Cup game and have pizza at her house with everybody including my sister. We went and it was very awkward. We said hello and then the rest of the time my wife and I basically just interacted with my nieces. My stepfather asked us right away and in a pointed way how our relationship is going. Which I replied directly and with a big smile, we are doing great. We grew so much this year. We know each other more and are creating the foundation of a healthy relationship. After that, no more interactions with him. No one talked to us that evening except my nieces, and even that was poisoned by my mother asking my youngest niece to ask me to make peace with her mother, so manipulative. We are leaving sad and not understanding why we are treated like this. We didn't see them for a year, it felt so unfair. We came for this, for them. My mother asked us to come have dinner on Friday night, the day before her birthday. The vibe was the same except that the scene was occupied by the father of my Bill, so the attention was diverted and a bit less awkward. The next day, we are celebrating my mother's birthday in a fancy restaurant. We are at the end of the table again speaking only to my little nieces and for my wife and I it's the last time we are planning to see them this summer. We are exhausted and tired of this situation. This trip is already a nightmare after a few days and we have one more month. The tension is palpable. No one said a word to us except my mother and nieces. My mother is very tense and is saying out loud that she wants her kids to make peace. It's very uncomfortable and unfair to ask me that. We are not saying anything. The dinner continues and at one point I feel my mother falling on my shoulder. She lost consciousness and she is not coming back from the pass out. We are laying her down. EMT comes and is taking her to the hospital. At the moment the door of the ambulance is closed. My stepfather turned against me and put his hands on my chest and pushes me, telling me that everything is my fault. Do I think it's a coincidence that this happened when I was here? That I will pay for this. He leaves and comes back and does it again one more time before we all leave for the hospital. When we arrive, he is yelling at me and my sister, that he is the one responsible for my mother on the civil paper and that we do not need to be here, which is crazy. This is my mother. We are waiting in the waiting room. My mother took more than an hour to come back from this loss of consciousness. My stepfather is coming outside where I was and catch me at the throat, telling me that I am going to pay, that I am responsible and that he will make sure that the family would never be the same. At this point, it seems unreal, out of the reality. My sister and wife are witnessing this. My sister cowardly went to him after. I saw her caressing his face and calming him down. Not a word for me about what just happened, barely reacting to what I am saying to her. For me, it was the line to not cross, attacking me physically. Also, my wife overheard my sister telling the EMT that she has had episodes like this before, but they were trying to make me believe that this was the first time. 2 days after, I am visiting my mother, to see how she feels. She has no idea of what happened, and I cannot tell her anything about what her husband did because I am afraid to put her in danger after her loss of consciousness due to the tension. My stepfather is in the house. I am very uncomfortable and she is seeing it, but I am not saying anything. After a few days, she is feeling better and tries to find out what happened. After asking me multiple times, I confessed what happened and what my stepfather did. She told me that she would act on it. Days are passing and she is telling me that my stepfather does not think he did something wrong, that she has to fix this. Not a word from my sister and brother-in-law about what happened, like it didn't exist. Once my mother found out, they called me to check on me, but it was not really sincere. We still didn't fix the situation with my sister and she is refusing any discussions. I saw my mother 2 times face to face. She is telling that she is aware of everything, that she agrees that the situation is ridiculous and that we have been treated unfairly, my wife and I. She sent my wife a text embarrassed that this is not what the family is normally like. After an uncomfortable lunch with my mother, my wife is done with it all. My wife and I are people who confront issues directly and try to fix them. I consider her a strong person. My mom is very fragile or pretends to be. Around July 20th, My mother asked us to have a last lunch with her, a pleasant last lunch, which my wife reluctantly agreed. She has been extremely respectful and not spoken up to my family to not make it worse, and also because it's not her first language and finds she can't express herself perfectly. The day of that last lunch, in the morning, I received a very short call from my stepfather, 15-20 seconds, saying to me that he should have not done that to me and that it was too far to grab me by the neck. It's a short apology, forced, but I say fine. So when we are at lunch, my mother is telling me so now he apologized. You can come tonight to have a drink in my new sister's apartment. She moved in with her family. I looked at my mother and told her, I am not sure you understand the situation fully. How do you expect me to have champagne with them in this situation? I have nothing to share or do with my sister and brother-in-law for now. They lied and are the ones responsible for this mess. They destroyed the family bond I had, they put me out. My mother didn't appreciate my answer at all, telling me that I should let it go. She started to cry and stormed out of the lunch. My wife went after her to comfort her to get her to come back, but she left and since then we haven't talked. It has been 6 months. I feel betrayed and disgusted, but I miss having my family. My wife thinks it's a narcissistic family system and I'm the truth teller and my sister is the golden child, so through no fault of my own I am exiled. But it still hurts. Too long did not read. Sister who is known to lie. Lied to my family about something I said to my wife in a fight I had with my wife. My family believes her over me, who is honest to a fault, and now I lost my family for not letting it go. Mother who has abandoned me at age 13 has abandoned me again for my sister and her husband. You need to stop going over there. How many times are you going to be lied on and assaulted before you say enough? You lost nothing but an awful set of family members who believed a flimsy lie to begin with. Good riddance. After reading this, all I can say is your sister won the prize of having your stepfather and your weak-willed mother. I'm not real sure how you lost anything. Your wife is your family, you don't need the toxic one you were born into anymore. It seems like more and more drama keeps happening. Aren't you enjoying the feeling of peace when you are away from your family? They will never be calm and kind. That is a fantasy. Your family sounds, frankly, horrible. And, of course it hurts. But I don't think it is your responsibility to fix this. Just reading about them exhausted me. You'd be better off no contact. It's dangerous being around someone who lies like that. You could end up in jail. Y'a rien qui va dans cette histoire. I agree with most of people. With this level of toxicity, you're sadly better off without them at the moment. Your wife might not be far from the truth with the golden child dynamics. J'ai l'impression que tu fasses. Tu seras perdant dans cette histoire. Donc à mon avis, il va mieux prendre de la distance et te concentrer sur la famille que tu construis avec ta femme. This side of your family is a toxic mess. I would put your energies into the relationship you have with your father.